A few inches later.
Hi mga Pepa! Welcome back to our channel. So for today's video is we're talking about the components of motherboard. So without further ado, let's get started.
Motherboard. It is the most important component in a computer system. It is the backbone that supports all the other computer components. It is also called the main printed circuit board. Motherboard allows data to travel between the various components that comprise a computer. A motherboard is also known as the system board, the backplane, or the main board.
Front panel connector.
What is front panel connector? Front panel connector is a header where the connectors of hard disk drive, activity lights, case speaker, reset button, power on or off button, computer power on light, and key lock are connected to make them function smoothly.
SATA controller.
A SATA controller is a hardware interface that connects a hard drive to a computer's motherboard and directs the flow of data.
USB header.
USB header. What is USB header? USB header are groups of pins on a motherboard into which one can plug a special cable to provide USB ports on a computer cases. In the case of USB 2, such headers will usually appear in a 2x5 grid with one corner pin missing. Total of 9 pins. USB 3 headers are larger.
PCI slots.
PCI stands for Peripheral Component Interconnect. PCI is a hardware bus used for adding internal components to a desktop computer. For example, a PCI card can be inserted into a PCI slot on a motherboard.
AGP slots.
Who invented AGP? An interface specification developed by Intel Corporation, AGP is based on PCI, but is designed especially for the throughput demand of 3D graphics.
North bridge with heatsink.
A North bridge is also called the Memory Controller Hub, or MCH, in Intel systems. It is the one of the two chips in the core logic chipset on the PC motherboard. A heatsink is a passive heat exchanger that transfers the heat generated by an electronic or a mechanical device to a fluid medium, often air or a liquid coolant, where it is dissipated away from the device.
Integrated ports.
What is integrated ports? Integrated ports are those that are part of or directly wired to the motherboard. Internal integrated ports are used to connect devices inside the system unit. Types of ports. There are serial ports, parallel ports, PS2 ports, universal serial bus port, VGA ports.
4-pin ATX connector.
A 4-pin ATX connector is a standard motherboard power connector used to provide 12 VDC to the processor voltage regulator.
A few inches later.
What is 20-pin ATX power connector? 20-pin ATX power connector, it is one of the largest connectors inside a computer. It connects a power supply to an ATX-style motherboard. As shown in the picture, the 20-pin cable is a multicolor cable and may be labeled as P1.
CPU slot or socket.
What is CPU? In a computer hardware, a CPU socket or CPU slot contains one or more microprocessor and a printed circuit board. Common socket included pin grid array and LAN grid array. When referring to an SD or the memory cards, a slot is the hole the card is placed into. The original slot or slot 1 was first released by the Intel Corporation in 1997 as a successor to Socket 8. Later, AMD released another slot processor, known as Slot A in 1999.
RAM slot or memory slot.
RAM slots are vertical slots, typically numbering 3 or 4, which usually are located at the upper right corner of the motherboard.
Floppy disk controller.
What is floppy disk controller? A floppy disk controller is a special purpose chip and associated disk controller circuitry.
IDE connector.
Original IDE had a 16-bit interface that connected two devices to a single ribbon cable. This cost-effective IDE device carried its own circuitry and included an integrated disk drive controller. Prior to IDE, controllers were separate external devices.
Sub bridge.
The south bridge is an IC on the motherboard responsible for the hard drive controller and integrated hardware. Integrated hardware can include the sound card and video card, if on the motherboard, USB, PCI, ESA, IDE, BIOS, and Ethernet.
CMOS battery.
CMOS battery, a battery that maintains the time, date, hard disk, and other configuration settings in the CMOS memory. CMOS batteries are small and are attached directly to the motherboard. Sees BIOS setup and battery.
2 hours later.
What is DDR slot? A memory slot memory socket or ROM slot is what allows ROM to be inserted into the computers. The most common types of ROM are SD-ROM and DDR for desktop computers and SODIMM for laptop computers, each having various types and speeds. So now, let's proceed to the memory types. First is SIM. What is SIM? A SIM is a single inline memory module, is a type of memory module containing random access memory used in computers from the early 1980s to the late 1990s. The three types of SIM. We have FPM-ROM, EEPROM, and HPM-ROM. First is FPM-ROM, or Fast Page Mode Random Access Memory. The 30-pin SIM was the first generation of the SIM memory family. They are typically found in older Intel 286 and 386 desktop computer system. They came both in 8-bit and 9-bit configuration, with memory ranges of 256 to 8 megabytes. The term fast page mode comes from the capability of memory being able to access data that is one of the same page and can be done with less latency.
A few inches later.
Second is EEPROM, or the Extended Data Out Random Access Memory. The 72-pin SIM was the second generation of the SIM family. They are typically found in the Intel 486, 486DX to 586, and some early Pentium desktop computer system. It has memory ranges of 4, 8, 16, and 32 megabytes. EEPROM came out in 1995 as new type of memory available for Pentium-based system. EDO is modified form of FPM-ROM, which is commonly referred to as hyperpage mode. EDO refers to the fact that the data output drivers on the memory module are not switched off when the memory controller removes the column address to begin the next cycle, unlike FPM-ROM.
2 hours later.
Hi mga Pepa! Welcome back to our channel. So for today's video is for
Hindi mo na natin.
mga Pepa! So for today's video is gagawa ko kami ngayon ng Hi mga Pepa! So for today's video, gagawa kami ng tutorial about ROM, motherboard, and HDD. So yun guys, so keep on watching. Bye!